Hi, I'm Daniela and this is Jocelyn. Thank you for coming to our channel.
Today we're going to be talking about how to track your ovulation, which is essential when you're trying to conceive. The cool thing I found in my research was there are a lot of ways to track ovulation today. Even simple period trackers usually have a spot to track ovulation, which is helpful at least to start in understanding how ovulation correlates with pregnancy.
So for Valentine's Day, Jocelyn gave me what we call a baby making box. This is our baby making box. Inside of it has all the tools we'll need to try and conceive and also track our ovulation. We knew we wanted to get pregnant right after the wedding, so I have been tracking my ovulation for probably about a year, just to make sure I had all the data in order, so it would be really easy when we were ready. Then once I got the baby making box, there was this really cool tool inside of it called the thermometer, and it actually comes with its own app, which we found really helpful. So I transferred all of my information from just like a generic period tracker app right into the thermometer app.
So this is the thermometer. Basically, it syncs through Bluetooth to the app, to its own app, and it monitors a woman's BBT, or basal body temperature, so your resting temperature, and it tracks that because your temperature will change when you're ovulating. So those little tiny details it collects over time to better and more accurately track your ovulation, which I thought was really cool and would be easier and more accurate than just your typical period tracker where you're only entering in the dates of your period. So this was another thing that you can do. But I didn't realize how much more you could actually do with this thing.
Something I really liked about this thermometer and the app is that not only does it take your temperature and send it to your phone, but it tracks and records it for you. Something that we noticed was other people, when they talked about tracking their BBT, it sounded really monotonous because they had to like write it down every day in a notebook and then monitor to see if there was just even the smallest minute difference. So I think that it made it really helpful that it just did all the work for me, and then that helps the app predict when I'm going to ovulate. So it's like a smart prediction. We will share so much with you about the thermometer app throughout this episode, but it's important to know that some people do just use a journal to track their ovulation and they manually record everything, and it's just about whatever works best for you. But for me, this was super user-friendly and easy, and we only downloaded the free version of the app and it worked really well for us. You get even more when you do the paid version.
Yeah, you get helpful insights and tips and articles.
And actually, even on the free version, you do get tips. So every morning after I take my temperature, when I open the app, there's a little tip at the bottom of the screen that is just tells me, based off of where I am in my cycle, what I should look out for, what I should do. Is just like a little guided hint, which I really like. Like Jocelyn was saying, the app also collects a lot of other information that, when used in combination with your BBT, helps the app better predict when you're going to ovulate. This other information is cervical mucus, cervical position, your LH test. It allows you to put in pregnancy tests, sexual activity, symptoms, all of which will help the app predict when you're going to ovulate.
I really like that when Daniela takes an LH test, we have the ability to take a picture of it, and it even has intelligent recognition where it can determine by how dark the two lines are on the test where she is or how close she is to peaking.
Yeah, it gives a percentage based off the picture that we take, which is awesome. So when I put the information from my LH test into the app and it does smart recognition or intelligent recognition, it automatically just calculates it into my ovulation prediction.
My goal was to make sure that we knew exactly when Daniela was ovulating, since it was such a small window, because I wanted to have sperm there waiting for that egg when it dropped. So in addition to monitoring Daniela's cycle through the thermometer app, I also decided to do some hard math of my own and write things out.
Just to make sure we stayed on top of the days, we just counted from the first day of my period being day 1 throughout the month, and then looked back on all the past months, and we were able to realize that within a 28-day cycle, I usually ovulate between days 15 and 17. So that was just something helpful to keep us on track when we are like, all right, it's getting close, start monitoring.
Since we knew that Daniela ovulates between days 15 and 17, we knew that was the window when we really needed to start tracking ovulation using the LH strips.
So I start tracking my ovulation with LH tests when I get within like 3 to 5 days of my ovulation window. And I'll start by just testing once a day with the easy at-home tests that we got off Amazon. They're actually really great and user-friendly. I honestly really like them. So we haven't run into any issues when using the easy at-home test with our intelligent recognition in the thermometer app, but I'm sure it's probably best recommended to use their specific brand.
What I found interesting that's the opposite of a pregnancy test is with LH testing, you do not want to use your first urine of the morning. I know with pregnancy tests you did, so immediately I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget to use your first pee, Daniela, and then I'm reading and I'm like, wait, actually no, you don't at all. Make sure not to drink too much either first thing in the morning, because that will also dilute the test and give you mixed results. So Daniela, what did you do?
I generally wake up a little early on the days that I'm going to test, and I'll go to the bathroom and then take my morning medications like right before I go to the bathroom, so then I'm like good to go. After that, I'll either go back to bed depending on how early it was, or I'll just like start getting ready for the day, like get a shower, do my thing. And at that time, I'm doing my 2-hour hold. So during your 2-hour hold, just don't drink a lot of water and don't urinate. So after my 2-hour hold, I'll go to the bathroom and then use that sample to do my LH test. I'll test once a day until I start seeing results. So even if it's just a low reading, that will prompt me to test more like twice a day. And then I will sometimes even test every 4 to 6 hours to make sure that I'm watching very closely so that I catch when my results start trending high and peaking.
So when you see a box of 50 or 100 LH strips and think, oh my God, I'm gonna start off with just getting maybe 25, you're probably better off just getting the box of 100 if you're testing every 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, you gotta watch very closely for the peak.
Other important indicators to keep track of during ovulation is your cervical position and your cervical mucus.
Yeah, so cervical mucus.
Cervical mucus, we're just gonna own it. It's mucus, and
it's mucus.
We all have mucus. That
comes from cervix, and it's just normal.
So the next piece of information we're gonna give you is going to be the game changer. I think if I was told this information in high school as a growing woman, it would have greatly altered the trajectory of my life. I don't know why we don't teach this information to women at all. I mean, maybe other parts of the world do. I wish that someone told me this sooner. And It's kind of gross, but I am so thankful for finding this because I think that it's really helped pinpoint where we need to be when it comes to the egg actually coming.
Yeah, so cervical mucus, that is what is going to be the key indicator on when you're going to ovulate. For me, it was like a little bit hard to keep track of, but what it's supposed to be is a clear egg white consistency. I will specifically say a raw egg white. It's going to be very clear and like and this was the hardest indicator for me because it's like, how do you know what the consistency of your cervical mucus is?
So how do you know?
You're gonna have to go in and get it out. You can't just look at it in your underwear.
Although it can be confusing exactly what you're looking for when it comes to cervical mucus, the cool thing about our app, the thermometer, was it gave you photo descriptions of what your mucus could look like throughout your cycle, so you had a better idea of how to describe it.
And that was super helpful to me because I'm like looking like I don't know what this is right now, and that helped me like discern what my cervical mucus looked like.
And of course it kind of feels gross to be talking about cervical mucus, but I feel like it was a little relieving to know like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of normal. Like, Now I know what to expect. Now I know where I'm headed.
Another key indicator when tracking your ovulation is cervical position. This, along with your cervical mucus, is going to help you get right where you need to be when it comes to ovulation. Yeah, I know it's awkward. How do you know what position your cervix is in? Well, you gotta feel it. You just have to. Low and firm is where your cervix is going to live when you're not ovulating. And then as you get closer to ovulation, you're going to notice that it's going to get softer and higher. You're even going to be able to feel it more open. After feeling this, this is a great time to check your cervical mucus.
Also, when the egg is dropping, you may feel cramps.
So when you put all of these symptoms and indicators into the app, it's going to use that data to give you the most accurate ovulation prediction that it can. Obviously, this is just an estimate because it's an app, but it's going to get you very close, which I think is super helpful.
And in the end, you're really listening to what your body is telling you. You're just inputting that into an app. So even if you miss inputting it one day, you still checked your cervical mucus, you still have an idea
of where you're at.
You're taking a mental note. So I feel like even if you're depending on the app, you're still becoming familiarized with the indicators that are important.
And I think it's good because it tracks it and stores it for you. So it's not like I have to flip through pages of notes. I can just go back, like, what was I doing on this day last month? What was my cycle doing on this exact cycle day last 2 months?
So for example, after 7 years of living together, we finally, for some reason, are syncing periods where Daniela is coming earlier and earlier every month. So although we're tracking ovulation, our numbers keep getting skewed because of the period date changing and the cycles getting all messed up. But we're still listening to her body, so we still have a really good idea of where ovulation is occurring based off of what her body's telling us.
Yeah, it's such a pain in the ass. So between watching the signs that my body is telling me and doing my LH test, I am able to know when I'm peaking.
Once you peak, you will ovulate within 24 to 48 hours. Keep in mind, the sperm can live for up to 5 days. The egg, on the other hand, can only live 12 to 24 hours. So it's important to know when you're ovulating so you can be successful with conception.
Conception can be possible 5 days leading up to and ovulation day.
But it's ideal to inseminate 15 to 48 hours after you find your peak.
So that is how we track my ovulation. For more information on the products we spoke about, check out the links in our bio.
We'll also include some links for resources we found helpful in our research. If you found value in this content, be sure to like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below.
Make sure to check out our next video, which is about our first attempt at ICI.
We'll talk about the tools we used, more about the method of ICI, as well as what we liked, what we didn't like, and go from there.
See you then. Here's the box.
It poked my boob on the way up. I was like, here's the box.
Most of which will help the app predict. When inputted.
I like it when you call me bigger.
I like that when you take that LH test.
See you later.
Check you later.
Peace.